can start now.
Okay. So, welcome to Cozy Womb Podcast. I have a special episode for you guys. I know I took a few days before dropping another episode, but today I got fam from middle school, besties since until now. I got a family member, Milani's brother, also, and they will be talking about their new children's book, Let's Roar, which is available on www.milanimalik.com and Amazon.com. Yacu, who is her brother, is an amazing artist and creative. I'm happy to have these two brilliant people who came through and put this colorful, adventurous children's book together. Welcome to Cozy Womb Podcast, y'all.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh man, you know what's so funny? Yaku, you sound like Milani's son, very close. Yeah, you ever noticed that? Your voices sound kind of the same.
I roar too, like rawr.
Oh my gosh.
And what's up, y'all?
How you doing?
It's Sunday, fun day.
Sunday, fun
Sunday,
day.
fun day. That's right.
Until like 7:00 and you realize Monday's coming. So I want to talk about this book, and I have this book here, and I got it sooner than I was supposed to get it, which I was happy about.
And smells good, doesn't it? It smells good, doesn't it? Like a real book.
It is a real book. It is a real book. Very colorful. You get the colors from the outside to the inside. I love it. And it's a good size. The print is really good. So it really like makes you look at the words and stuff, which is something Anya likes because she's always trying to, learn a new word. But I told Milani what really caught me when I saw the cover is I get to see Malik 2 times. And so I'm so happy that, she has also another creative family member to collab with to do this book. So I know Milani been on my show last year for Cozy Womb. And this time we're just talking about strictly her writing in this book. And I want to know from Milani, when did you first want to write or be an author? Or did you know you wanted to be an author?
To be honest, I've always liked writing. That's been a hobby of mine since I was about 11. Mm-hmm. And I used to just write in my journals and write poetry. And then when I went to school, I was at Stony Brook and I needed an elective. And there was only a few things available, but then I saw creative writing. Mm-hmm. And I took that class and I really fell in love with it because I was doing, I had short stories and poetry. And then I started to learn about the haikus and everything like that. So it helped with the writing. And I think poetry is my favorite type of writing. And then just creating any type of short story fiction, because you can be there's no limit. You can be so creative and imaginative. So once I had a kid, our other sister, Ona, is actually the one that kind of put the battery in my back. Like, listen, you're a great writer. I think you should do a book. You should really do a book. And you have Kari. Kari can help you. Come on, you should do a book. You should do a book. So I was like, okay. And then I asked my son, who was 2.5 at the time, like, hey, you want to help mommy with the book? And he was so excited because, I mean, I can draw, but not like my brother over here. Yeah. But, so I just, I drew a lion and he was like, oh, he loves it. He loves it. And, he had a big stuffed animal as a lion. He loves all animals and dinosaurs and all of that stuff. So
listen, the post.
Yes.
Dinosaurs upon dinosaurs. I'm just like, he knows too much.
And so from there, the creation started. And what I did was I wrote the entire book and I drew basically like a stick figure type because I just wanted to have the blueprint and the outline. Yeah. Because my brother is so great with creating, where if you just give him the idea and the vision, he brings it to life and gives you so many different ideas. Like, well, here's 4 options for the idea that you said. And I'm like, wow. Oh, like I wouldn't if he wasn't my brother, I would not want to work with anyone else. Like, he's so amazing. It's only a matter of time until, you know, he's so famous. I'm gonna be like, can you fit me in? You know, so.
As you should. And I think that's really commendable, because most times when you ask a family member to help you with something, they feel like, I don't have to be professional. Let me just scribble up something real quick and give it to them. But the fact that he brought you multiple options, it just goes to show like he's actually all in with you for the book. So I do love that aspect. So Yacu, nice to audio meet you. And welcome to the show. What made you find a true connection to illustration and art?
Well, as you know, all of us in the family, 6 of us, we all have certain type of skills
I do.
that we were born with.
Yes.
And some skills came to people later. Some skills came to people as soon as they were born. And I think I was one of those who had a feel for art in one way or other. So I feel I had the choice of being an architect back in the days, because I felt like I'm gonna be an architect, and then I found out it was too much math in it.
Boy,
so
that's why I didn't do it. And I love architecture. I'm just like, what? And I wanted to do interior design. I was like, how many math? Oh no, I'm good. I'm straight.
but as you know, art has many different like sidelines and different paths you can take with art.
Yeah.
And I didn't want a job that once you know everything, it's over. So art is one of the ones that I knew that I can keep getting better and better and experiment. So our mother used to go to college. She graduated with an art degree. And she used to take us with her to some classes when we were too young for school. So I was in some of her classes. I can think that helped make me get motivated faster. And so while I was there, I was given stuff to draw with and paint with also.
Yeah.
And from there, when I finally went to school, I used to just draw on my homework and draw on anything that I get my hands on, draw at home.
Same.
And as you know, like everyone says like, oh, I can't draw a stick figure.
Yeah.
But you have to start somewhere. And if you're not practicing it, what do you think is going to happen? You can't just draw a Mona Lisa overnight. So over time, my parents were very encouraging of get better, make sure you're are practicing what you do. And then that encouragement lets you keep going. And the parents will see their kids draw and then they just let them to, they don't really encourage them as much. I see those kids like that who just put it to the side and then they just give up on art. But for me, I was always encouraged. So I kept getting better, drawing on more things, drawing on more homework. And I found ways to use my artwork actually to get out of some essays. Because unlike my sister, she likes to write.
Yeah.
I find every reason not to write things. I don't know. I'd rather show it visually. Like there's a time where we had an essay on like old classic horror stories. So I did mine on Frankenstein. But I said, can I create my own monster as like a painting other than write an essay? And my teacher let me get away with that. And I drew a painting and then I said, you can keep it too if you want to. And I ended up getting a good grade by just doing artwork versus actually doing the writing for it. And then I went to college for it, of course, the art school. And from there, first time I ever learned how to use like modern art programs on computer.
Yeah.
So that opened a whole nother door of art by doing it digitally, because you know you have the digital, your traditional artwork that depending on what job you're getting, it's good to know both.
Right.
And so that's why for the digital one, it helped for doing Milani's book, because I was able to sketch it traditionally, my sketchbook, give her ideas and change it over time, because these characters they don't look like this in the beginning.
I know they did. Right. That's what I want to know. Like, my next question was, what was your favorite part of creating the character for Jabari's look? Because it's very like, okay, I identify with this character and the style of the illustration is different. So what was your method in coming up with that?
That's funny. You're right. That's funny because I took a picture of my son with his hair out, and his hair is so, well, at the time before I cut it, it was so long, it was down past the middle of his back.
Yeah.
And so he was always running around the house acting like a lion. And so I took a picture of him, and he was acting like he was standing on all four and he's roaring. And so I took a picture, and then I gave it to my brother, and I said, you know what? Let's make him the main character, but let's see how we can draw him in a cartoon. And so I would say, here's the picture. He would draw something. And so the first one he did, I said, he looks too old. Like the character needs to be younger. And so like I was very hands-on. Like I'm with my brother. It's not like I'm just like, here, do that. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Like we both have an eye for it. It's just that he understands what I want for my vision. You know what I mean? So, and he told me he works better when I can just guide him, give him the blueprint, and then he just changes it and says, do you like this? And I'm like, let's change this feature. Let's make this a little like this and make this like this. And he can do it right away.
Nice. So you work fast. I like
because there's some people who you work with for clients where if you show them too many options,
they'll never choose.
Exactly. You choose one option, they're not satisfied. So good to find that balance where you can work with somebody and give them like three options. Then from there, if one looks closer to what they want, it's easier to alter that. Then you're not wasting all this time trying to do too much it's not going to go anywhere, because it's just natural for people to get overwhelmed by too many options.
Right. All right. My next question, Milani, how long did the process of the book take, and what did you enjoy the most about the project, and what did you enjoy the least?
So the process for us, we came up with the idea in about it, like I said, my son is now 4, and at the time he was 2.5.
Right.
When we came up with the idea, like when I completed the book in totality, when he was 2.5. But however, that was on some college rule paper, like with blue ink. You know what I mean? But to actually get the process, we didn't want to just jump in it and everything's not right, because I'm type of a perfectionist. So after I wrote the book with just some quick sketches, because actually how I sketched it is exactly how the layout of the book is. And then obviously once I spoke with my brother, and he's like, you know what, but maybe we should have each of the pictures, like have it on its own page, because if you look in the beginning, some of the pictures I had were all together on one page. But he's like, it'd be better if you expand it. And like that's why I said we piggyback off of each other, and we made it come to life. So my favorite part really is seeing the two characters come together, because it's exactly how I imagined it. You know what I mean? And then obviously the not so fun part is the technicalities of copywriting and just doing all of your research and writing to make sure everything is correct. And then the process of actually self-publishing through Amazon Kindle is not hard at all. Right. Like it's very straightforward. You just I guess the anticipation was of the weight is what you don't like.
Same.
Like, it's like you don't know when it's going to be complete, and that anticipation is like, you don't like that. That's what I like the least, because we can't just put a date on it, because we want to make sure, like, hey, listen, when we present it to the world, we want it to be right. So we never posted the actual picture until it was actually time. We made sure it was copyrighted first, and did everything we had to do, then uploaded, and then we'll go, and my brother will be like, are you sure? Is there anything else you want to
yeah That's I did 3 books, and while waiting for the main one, I did 2 other small books, because it was just easier. It was kind of like more personal, so there was less outside correction that I needed. And then the main book still now, like I haven't pushed it out as much because I want to revise it. But even going back and revising it is a lot of work because you want to go page by page by page. So I'm glad you guys really waited. That takes a lot of willpower to be working on something super exciting and not share it. So y'all good for that, for holding
All right.
for that.
Yeah, and plus she didn't want to like spoil it. Like, let's say she put a lot of character information out too early.
Yeah.
Then people be like, I've been waiting. Then it gets
Right.
Not excited anymore.
Exactly.
Right.
And and we were blessed to have family friends that in their profession they do all of the editing and everything like that.
See?
That's why I said
teamwork.
Allison Hernandez and Michaela Hernandez, they were absolutely amazing in helping with the process of making sure it gets to its completion. So nice. we were definitely blessed for that, and that's why I said this is definitely a project that is family and friend oriented, and it's just we're so just excited and happy to finally see it in its complete stage now.
Nice. So, Yacu, how long did it take you to to organize and troubleshoot the illustrations for the look of the book? What was that process like?
Well, the process was more difficult, not because of what I was to do for the book. It was more of because of the situation of full-time working and the type of work I was doing. I was working at a college university in their international department, where we help international students learn English. I was registrar. Sometimes you have those long days, so you only have a little time after work. So you try to do some during lunch breaks, just to get some working in there.
Yeah.
So the process of the timing of it got in the way sometimes. And Milani knows that, how I was saying, she's like, can you just get this another page by this time? I was like, I'm gonna try. And then I had like a youth camp that happened where you there 24 hours with the kids. So that gave me less time to actually work on it because you have to monitor these kids the whole time. So sometimes you hear Milani's voice like, can we at least get 2 more pages by this weekend so I can proof it?
The guilt tripping.
And she's like, okay, now I need to get some more words in there. You think you can change it by this date? And I was like, I can't get your call right now because I'm with these kids running around.
Yeah.
And I need to do so and so. But out of all, that was everything else was worked out pretty well of how we plan how the book was going to be in the character and the layouts. It was just more about the time and situations that gave the most challenges for it. Okay. Everything else, it was a pretty good process of when I did have time on weekends and everything else. That was all great, and it helped me see. Anytime I draw these type of things, it helps me get new experiences on drawing characters. So, like, if there's more books or other things I need to draw for this, I have all the knowledge now for these. But in the beginning, there's a lot of changes and back and forth until your body gets used to drawing. Like a cartoonist who draws the same character over and over, like Simpsons all these years, they can draw in their sleep now.
Yes. So my question with that for you also is, so for me, when I'm about to draw something or create something new, I don't want to see anybody else's work, right? Because then your mind automatically, it takes like an imprint of somebody else's work, and then you start to draw and you're drawing in the direction of that work. So for you, before you started, did you take a look at other children's books to look at like how they develop the character or what style they use, or did you completely avoid other children's books so you can have like your own fresh style of doing it?
Well, the only inspiration for other kids' book was little samples that Milani was looking at just to get the child's like book layout.
Yeah.
But for the characters itself, we went back and forth and talked about like, oh, you remember the show Boondocks, or because it wasn't on purpose. But she said on some of our early ones, she's like, that has kind of had the Boondocks eyes, or this kind of has the this character's this.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like I said, if you watch stuff over time and you're used to these shows or things you have in brain, your brain automatically takes stuff it learns and tries to incorporate into the type of style you do. There's a lot of comic book artists who you could tell who are they fans of because of their style of their strokes and inking. Right. It's because that's the kind of comic they grew up with watching or reading. So for mines, it was there at first, but after a while, when we started altering it, it became our own. Okay. And didn't have any influence on anyone else after that point.
Yeah, because when I look at the characters, I can't, compare it to anything else because it's just the shadowing is different. The fading of the character colors around it is different. So I like the fact that it's its own thing. All right, yeah. Milani.
And my brother, like, even though he was working, I have to give him credit where, when I sent him something, like regardless of any other art projects, because, he does a lot besides work. He has other art projects that he's working for other clients and everything else. Yeah. So to still put that together and still work with me and still like keep him on track, he was very quick with it. You know what I mean? And then he knows and he likes it where I keep him on track. I'm like, okay, so let's just say by this date, let's try to get these two things done. And by this date, let's try to get this done, which it worked out for us. You would say, right, Yacu?
It worked out pretty well like that.
Good.
And Milani even like contacted me at like 2:00 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. She'll tell you, it's never a normal time that she contacts me.
What is normal with Milani? So for Milani, my question for you is, how did you schedule all the time to write and brainstorm with everything you have going on? Because you're not a boring individual either.
Well, I have to say once my sister kept annoying me about, you guys should really do a book. You guys should really do a book. Like literally 2 weeks straight, every 2 weeks straight, every day she was calling. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I was like, I'll do it. I said, you know what? Because like you were asking before, I never thought about being an author. I just knew I always liked to write. The only thing I thought about doing was maybe putting a poetry book together. That's the only thing I thought about doing. But then I knew if I wanted to do a children's book, I automatically knew only if my brother says okay, because I didn't want anyone else to illustrate it but my brother. But
aww.
I know. She loves you.
But not only that, I knew that his vision, like we work on other projects, like we have a t-shirt line together. We do a lot of other projects together. And I know how he works. And I know that if I give him a vision and I give him what my guidelines are, he's going to bring it to life exactly how I want. So that's why these two characters are our own. And it means that much more because the main character is my son, who is his nephew. And we want to make sure that it was right,
Good.
In The Lion too, we had to like make alterations over time.
Exactly.
At one time she said, it's too scary. I'm like, but it's a lion.
What makes the lion lovable? The eyes.
Exactly.
Similar to the boy's eyes. Yeah, they make it like, oh, okay, I can connect with this. It's not so bad.
Or Chantel, if you want to know a funny part, right? Okay. So if people go in the book and there's a part where they're talking about they're hungry, right?
Yeah.
So this part is funny to me because in the beginning, you see a cloud of what they're thinking about eating. And for the lion, at first, my brother just drew a zebra. I was like, oh my God, no, you can't do that. Because some kids are going to be like, oh my gosh, she's going to eat, even though that's what they eat, right? Yeah. You can't it's a kid's book, so they'll feel sad. You have to just make it a piece of meat instead of a full zebra looking at you.
Yeah. But it was good though.
You have to learn sometimes.
Yeah. About to turn this book into Jaws. Yacu, when you heard the words for the story, Were you visualizing it when Milani gave it to you of what the images would look like? Or did you use her sketches and look at the words of the book to think about what images you would put in the book?
I would say it's a little of both, because the word itself describes what they're doing and the type of scenery they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And since we know they're like pretty much in the jungle type of scenery,
Yeah.
and the words are saying stuff so particular like, oh, happy, hungry,
Mm-hmm.
and those are your normal human expressions anyway. I think the more of the crazy part was trying to draw is the expressions of a lion doing it, because
Mm-hmm.
if you do a lion face doing a certain expression in a certain way, it looks more awkward than a person actually having those expressions.
Mm-hmm.
So the wording did change over time, so I did have to change the images because of the word change and the layout. Because at first, she had the layout in the book more like a comic book,
Mm-hmm.
where you had multiple panels on a page, and then she found out that for the verbiage we had, you would have like a few pages if you did it that way. So it was kind of better to actually make it more like one picture per page and with the words on there.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, it makes it easier for the kid to read, because if we had so many panels and words on each panel,
They
it'd
get
be
lost.
hard to even see.
Yeah.
You can't focus on one action at a time that way.
That's a fact. Are you excited to illustrate more books for Jabari's adventures? Any hints on what's to come?
I'm excited to do more stuff for Jabari Adventures, but that's why I was telling him, like, this is my first all illustrated book that I helped work on. So I don't mind doing like these a lot of books for like a lot of family members, but I can see how working with a stranger would be kind of like frustrating.
Yeah.
Because there are challenges in that way, but you are happy with the outcome at the end. But working with a stranger and you don't know how their personality is, you may come into a case where you may feel a lot of stress if you clash on ideas. I'm just glad that working with my sister, we agreed on pretty much 90% of things we were doing at the time.
Yeah.
Ended up at the end of the day, being 100% agreed upon this how the book is done. But it's good that she took my suggestions easily. If I suggested something, she's like, "Yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that." Or, "How about this?" I'm like, "Yeah, that works." Otherwise, being like, "No, I want this way. That's how I want it. Do it. You work for me," type of thing. I don't want those kind of situations.
Yeah, that's good. There's less ego and pride on the table, and more understanding when you do it that way.
Well,
did this for her. I wanted to help my sister out.
Right. Instead of, I don't think we viewed it that way. Like, I don't view it as, well, I wrote the book and you need to do this.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't look at it like, I'm working for my sister. We literally, this is a 50-50, we made a book together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's how we look at it. We look at it as a family project, which makes it more valuable. And, you know, it just means so much more to me, you know? But as far as what's to come, the reason we have the handle on Instagram as Jabari Adventures is, you guessed it, it's correct. It will be a series. So we will come back with other books. We won't tell anyone the titles yet. We're just leaving that there and letting this one marinate. However, we can tell you that for this book, what will come soon is a coloring book for it.
Yeah, because that's what it was giving me when I opened it. I said,
Spoiler.
The picture is big enough to not make a child feel defeated, as if I can't draw that. You can draw this because you know how to make a circle. You know how to make shapes. So it feels like obtainable for a child. So that's a good idea. I like that. Where did you get the
spoiler alert? Is also Jabari will be back in the book that's coming up too.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that leads me to this question. Where did you get the idea for Jabari Adventures and not just to make it just about Jabari?
Well, technically, my son. So basically, everything is based upon him, and in real life, how he would like his adventures. He's so creative and imaginative. That I ask him, like, hey, well, if you did this, what would you do? And if you did this, how would you do that? How would you like it? And then from what he says, I put it with my own stuff, and then, speak with my brother, and then we create something. So for this particular book, we literally asked him about each scene. So he definitely helped with, our ideas, because we don't want to say, well, this is what happened. No, we really want the kid to tell us, you know what I mean? And it's a kid's book. And so, other kids could relate, and and there's no limit to what your imagination will do for you. Like, we're not going to put a limit to him. Like, well, that wouldn't really happen in real life. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a book,
Right. When Anya watches cartoons, she always says, how SpongeBob did such and such. I'm just like, Anya, it's a cartoon. Cartoons could be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to make sense, right? So it's very important that parents don't bring real life into a child's imagination all the time, because you stall it out.
Right.
So that's good.
I think I'll be watching cartoons until I die, pretty much, because
you have to, or else
because of how the world is now. You need to get away from what's going on in the world. Sometimes,
yes.
Right. You got distress from it.
Yes, you have to watch things that don't make sense, because adulting doesn't make sense sometimes. I don't care what anybody says. For Yacu, what are 3 components of a good illustrative book for children? Hey there, people. Hope you're enjoying the show. Don't forget to check out Cozy Womb Shop, okay? The link is in the bio. You can also reach the shop at www.whoisshan.com. On Cozy Womb Shop, my thing that I'm going for right now in the t-shirts is good colors, good fun colors for the kids, for mom, for dad, unisex, and some new masks and some new colors. And I'm focusing on spreading love and getting love, okay? So on there, find what you're into. I have stickers, I have hoodies, and I have mugs, okay? But we got to get into this new season of Cozy Womb Podcast while you enjoy your merch. Let's go.
Here we go.
Back to the show. In your perspective, like, what are the 3 things that must be in there that are consistent?
Words, pictures. I was like, I think color is a big thing, because just like most toys and cartoons that's out now, the colors have to be vibrant and stand out, so the kids pick your book over other books. They have to be engaged with the character enough that it's not boring, because kids nowadays have a short attention span. As you know, it's like if nothing stands out on the next page, like, okay, next I'm gonna go somewhere else and eat the book instead of actually reading it. And another component is likable characters. If the characters look like your normal average Joe characters, they won't be engaged to move any further with the book, won't even want to finish reading the book. The third component would be the content of the book. If the easier and simpler the words are for a storybook, the more they'll feel encouraged to read that book, because the more, like, depending on the reading level too, though. So right now we're talking about this one, so I'm talking about the simplicity, but still the engaging interaction of the book, where you're asking a question to the kid, and so the kid's like, oh, I know what to say, I know what to answer. And if the parents are reading it a certain way, they can make it even more engaging. That's what I love about the book itself.
Yeah. My favorite part is the font, especially for the cover, where you use like fur-based letters. I feel like that really draws you into the book. So I like the fact that it's fully consistent in the theme of where we're going in the story, and there's not a lot going on. Like, we're focusing on this situation, and we're going to come up with a solution by the end of the book. So that's really good to keep a child's comprehension of what's going on, because that's something kids do struggle with. Like, your child can read really well, but if they're not comprehending like what's going on, it really doesn't matter. So it's really easy to take in. So that's good.
And Milani was pretty good with that. I think that was our second font for the title, and so we didn't go through many fonts for her to say yes, that's good. So I'm glad that we got through it, just 2 renditions of it.
That's good. So Milani, what do you feel is missing in children's books that your book will deliver?
I feel it's probably the representation of, it can be any type of minority in the front cover of a, and I purposely published it under just fiction and fiction adventure, not just Black kids books, or you know what I mean? Like, no, I don't want to be put in a box. I want it to be normalized that, it can be a Black kid, a Hispanic kid, a Asian kid, it doesn't matter, in front of the book, and that can be normalized to be a bestseller, or some a character you see all the time, instead of, even when I think back to us growing up, like, we loved Rugrats and we loved Doug and all of these different cartoons, but you would have your one token minority and then everyone else is, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I just wanted to be able to add to being a minority in the cover, where you're not looked at as a minority. It's just looked at as another children's book, and this is just how he looks, as opposed to, hey, it's a Black book, I need all Black. No, it's just a kid's fiction book. Let's normalize it instead of putting it into a box. You know what I mean? So I think the representation is missing a lot. Especially, I really looked at that because I love reading with my son and he loves reading. And when we go to these bookstores, he doesn't see anybody that looks like him. And if you do, you have to go all the way to the back and find the one book. It's not normalized yet. You know what I mean? So I really felt like that was important. And once we got to the idea of, you know what, we're going to make our own book. And now you actually, because you go to the bookstore, it's not like you purposely go, I'm going to look for a Black kid on the cover. No, you just go for a good book. Right. And so we noticed, as we continue to go to these bookstores, you just would not find the representation at the front. And it really wouldn't be in the front, as opposed to, like, it's at the very beginning, as soon as you walk in, you have placement. So that placement on the shelves mean a lot too, right? Because some people, if they physically see it, they'll take a look at it, as opposed to just being in the back with other books in front of it. So I just wanted to be able to add to that, and we're not sure where the book will take us, but we're open to a lot of different avenues, and we're just hoping that we can help in the transition of normalizing other ethnicities at the forefront in children's fiction,
right? And where it doesn't have to be Black History Month, so now all the Black authors are in the middle when you go in the books. So like, just mix them all in. Yeah.
And technically, Yacu, right? Our book was basically done in February, but it just made more sense to release it in March, because just for that matter, it's not like it's a Black children's book. We want to normalize it. The child is just Black.
Yeah.
But it's a children's book.
Right.
We want to normalize it.
Right.
You run away, you will have that kind of stigma where it's like, oh, make sure you get her a book because it's a Black book. So
right.
Like, but make sure you buy it just in February.
Yeah.
You don't need to buy in March.
Right.
First month of the year.
But what you said with it not just being a Black character and it just really be pushed as Black, I think especially in America, people have an issue with young kids that are quote unquote Black, because Black can be so many things here, where they don't get seen as children.
Right.
They get seen as that Black person in an adult manner. That's why we have things like Tamar Rice, where they saw him as an adult with a gun, when really it's a boy, a child with a toy gun that y'all just shot in broad daylight and not think anything. So I love the fact that you're not pushing this Black boy is in the jungle, with the lion, X, Y, Z. The cover could be anybody. And families now are so multiracial that it should be allowed to be interpreted as any child. So,
right. As you see what they did with the new Spider-Man, which is cool, right? Because it's Miles Morales is mixed. He's Black and Hispanic, right? So technically, if you look at the front of our book, how do you know that's not Miles Morales when he was younger? You see what I'm saying? Like, it can be anyone, and other people can identify, because we can't leave out that big portion of children who can look at this cover and say, wow, that can be me. You see what I mean?
Right. It's good.
As opposed to, it can be a Caucasian, and they may look at the book and be like, oh, he just looks cool. And they just want to read a good book. And that's what we are pushing for. And we're not pushing because, hey, it's a Black boy. No, it's just a fiction book. And we hope you enjoy the adventure. That's it.
That's
and plus all those tigers out there, they want to be a lion. They can be a lion.
Yeah,
exactly.
They can be horses if they feel like it.
Ari asked me yesterday, she was like, are cats lions? I said no, but lions are also a different type of cat, but they're just wild. She was like, well, what about a cheetah? I'm just like, girl, same thing. But it's good that kids can identify with the book a lot easier. Timeline wise, when would the public see more books with Jabari's adventure, or is that undetermined?
Is this for me or for my brother? For both of us?
Both of y'all.
Molly, we need a script before we do a book.
Okay.
Look, I tried to push it on him, but no. We just want to. It's going to be undetermined for the time being, just for the simple fact that we want this book to really marinate first.
Okay.
And be a little seasoned while we work on the other ones.
Okay. And plus, it was a learning experience for his first book, so it should make the next one much easier, because we know the steps that we should be taking to get this done in a certain way. It shouldn't take like a whole another 2 years so to get a book out there.
Okay. And what age range would you say this book would be good for? Is it like 2 to 5, or 3 to 7 years old? Like, what's the perfect age range?
Well, we opened it up, right? Because if you look at reading, they have about 3 categories of the 0 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to about 8. Then you have your 9 to 12. Well, for us, we expanded a little more, only because some of our family members, I was like, hey, I want to see how they do with reading the book. So you have to also give room to some younger kids being able to read higher, and some older kids just not quite there yet. So we expanded it to about 2 to 6 years old is about the age range for this early readers book.
Okay. I like it. Anya read the whole book. Right when I took it out the book. Now, Ari, that's a work in progress. She's not a book nerd. She's a dancer. She's a where the songs at. So, but nice. I'm gonna get her on track with reading because she likes to talk a lot. So, for Yacu, are there any current or soon to be projects that you're currently working on that you would love to share or will be shared soon?
Most of the projects I'm working on now, I've been doing some like progress video of on my Instagram and the TikTok. And the good thing about my handles is always Art of Yacu. You type that in any of these social media platforms. I keep it consistent because it's the easiest way to go.
Yeah.
Keep that pattern going. As you can see, I'm still working on my, well, I mentioned it, Miles Morales piece on my page. And so I've been doing a 3D cutout of some wood pieces. I'm also been working on somebody's book cover at the moment for them, and working on some illustrations for somebody who's doing like a music video. So it's good to know certain people, and I used to do some little bit of work for, who Tone Bell is, that comedian. He's an actor also, but they have like this comedy thing on in LA called Can I Kick It?
Yeah.
And they've been doing the backgrounds they have and they use. I did a lot of their illustrations for it, so it's cool to do stuff for certain people.
Okay, so that man stayed busy. Okay. Milani, any new projects or anything currently you're working on that you would like to share?
Yes, so aside from being a newly self-published author, I do have I'm an owner of a business company for an event planning services, which specializes in sporting, private, brand awareness, and business events. And through my company, I'm actually working on a book event, not just for my book, but for newly published authors. And within that, I'll be able to also work with my sister, who has a traveling book. It's from her travels of South Africa. It's like a tour guide. And then we'll add in other clients who would like to be involved in that book event. And then and we'll hold one in Atlanta, Florida, and New York. So we're working on that at the moment. And then obviously I have other clients that we have some stuff they want to do within the schools. They want to do some giveaways. They want to do some fundraisers. So, we stay busy with that as well. And then obviously the summer's coming up. So people are starting to reach out for them wanting me to direct their camps and clinics and, get the coaches and everything else together. And aside from that, I also help others who may have eating allergies or food restrictions and may want to try some healthy vegan meals. And so on my other Instagram page, which is Vegan is All I Know, I put up health and wellness tips on the story, and on the page you'll see all type of different vegan meals that people can try. And I will be coming out with some goodies for that as well, coming out with like an ebook of recipes as well. And just doing that, my event planning company, which is called Proficiency LLC, which is a play on words because it's proficient -SEE LLC. And then working with the Jabari series, and then a collaboration with my brother. Like I said, we have our t-shirt line, and we do all kind of fun type of art and quotes and sayings that you can't get anywhere else. And we put that together. And right now we just have the regular shirts of Milani Malik. It's about the work you put in, wristbands and t-shirts and stuff that people can just find on my website, which is www.milanimalik.com. So I mean, we have so many other projects that we are just doing, and we just stay busy, and it's just a lot of fun. Yeah.
I love it. I
noticed that I know that I did it like a logo for every single sibling in my family.
Exactly.
I love it. I love the fact that y'all are very involved in other mediums, and I've never heard Milani say that I'm bored. You know what I'm saying? And Yacu clearly is not bored because he's very busy. I know I will definitely have Milani back on a show that's basically geared towards kids having vegan options, introducing them to quick, easy vegan dishes that parents can do. And I would love to have Yacu on a show for She Gets a Podcast to talk about his other work, because I do love art and I want to expand on that. So if you guys wanted to drop any info for the people to know, I know you dropped your IG, your website, remind them where to get the book, how to get the book. And
yes. So like I said, I'll just say my website again is just www.milanimalik.com, and through there they can find all of my social media handles, and as well as the book, which will be to the right hand side. You click on it, takes you directly to a secure Amazon link for a checkout page, and you're done. They'll probably have you sign into your Amazon account, and then you just purchase your book. And obviously, if you have Prime, it
next day. I'm just like,
And then for my site is artofyacu.com. That's artyacu.com. And then it's the same handle for Instagram is at artofyacu. And then on TikTok is artofyacu. On Twitter is artofyacu.
Yeah.
You guessed it, it's artofyacu for pretty much everything. And my email is artofyacu@gmail.com.
I love it.
Back to you, Chan.
I love it. Thank you guys for coming on here and talking about this book. Again, the title is Let's Roar by Milani R. Malik Richardson and illustrated by Yacu B. Malik. Y'all get the book, push the book, get it in your youth groups, get it in your daycares, get it in your schools, get it in your house. It's a good read. It's a good, all right, after this, y'all go to bed, read. So, I don't know, get it, like introduce your kids to colors. I think is excellent for babies because babies identify with colors first. So just get the book, get multiple of the book. Okay, share the book, gift the book, get the book.
Yes, let's get it on your wish list. Let's get it in the schools. Let's get it.
Yes.
Let's get it everywhere. Let's get it in some local bookstores. Like, reach out to me. My email is Milani.Malik@gmail.com. Or you can reach me at my other email, MilaniMalik@gmail.com. It's just like my brother. We make it easy for you.
Yes.
This is the first time being like on a podcast myself. I usually listen to podcasts, but now I'm finally on a podcast. That's a flip for me.
That's right. Now you're not a podcast virgin anymore. Welcome. Thank you for being on Cozy Moon today, y'all.
Thank you
for having us.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.